There are few venues in sports more iconic than Wrigley Field on Chicago's north side. In 2025, the Friendly Confines will turn to the Frozen Confines for a brand new Big Ten hockey series. A press conference with all the details is coming up here on the Big Ten Network in just a few. Hello, everyone, and welcome into this Big Ten Live press conference show. So glad to have you here. I'm Kylan Mills. A major announcement is just a couple minutes away. We'll get you out to Wrigley Field here in just a few, where we will reveal all the details on a brand new ice hockey series coming to iconic Chicago's north side. Once again, Big Ten ice hockey going to be played at Wrigley Field. Now, the Friendly Confines has hosted some major Big Ten events in the past. In November, Northwestern football hosted Iowa. That was an electric atmosphere I was on hand for this past season. So much fun. Now, in true Hawkeyes fashion, Iowa won that game 10-7, by the way. Then in April of 2024, Northwestern baseball hosted Purdue for a Friday night showdown. The Boilers took that game 9-3. That matchup marked just the third time ever Northwestern baseball hosted a game at storied Wrigley Field. And now this press conference is set to get underway. Here's our own Rick Pizzo, who's the master of ceremonies from Wrigley Field.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Wrigley Field on what is truly an historic day for the Chicago Cubs, the Chicago Blackhawks, and the Big Ten Conference. My name is Rick Pizzo, and I represent the Big Ten Network. We at the network are thrilled to be here today, equally, perhaps even more excited to be part of an upcoming event here at Wrigley Field, the details of which we will share in just a minute. To let everyone know, there will be the chance for photo opportunities and one-on-one interviews after the conclusion of today's presentation. But first, it is my pleasure to welcome our host and our first speaker, the Director of Business Operations for the Chicago Cubs. Please welcome Mr. Crane Kenny.
Thanks, Rick, and thanks everybody for being here. We had hoped to have this event out on the field, but Mother Nature didn't cooperate, so we're in the American Airlines Conference Center, but the games will be on the field. So we're really excited about the announcement of the Frozen Confines. I think everybody knows Wrigley Field is a very important and historic venue in the sport of baseball. Built in 1914, it's the only baseball stadium that is a national landmark recognized by the Park Service. But more importantly for the upcoming events is what it does outside of baseball. I think most people know we do a lot of music here. We just had Green Day play 2 days ago. We play college football. This upcoming fall, we'll have 2 Northwestern games. And we've done everything from ski jumping to rodeo, from soccer to boxing. The one thing we have never done, though, is college hockey. And so we're very excited today to announce the first ever Frozen Confines Big Ten college hockey event that'll be happening the first week of January. This event does not come together quickly and does not come together easily. So I want to say thank you to a group of people that made today possible. It starts with our friends at the NHL. So Steve Mayer, who's here, and Jamie Faulkner from the Blackhawks. We played our first Winter Classic in '09 when the Blackhawks and the Red Wings played. And it was a really important game for us here at Wrigley Field. One is it proved we could host a winter event. From the time the Bears left in 1970, we hadn't played a winter event from 1970 until that 2009 game. And what we learned about ourselves at Wrigley Field was the ballpark can actually host an event. The restrooms and concession stands work. Our staff can bring people in and out safely. And so from '09, we began exercising muscles around things like college football, our Winter Fest that we've had the last two years. But the bringing back the Winter Classic was always on our goal. So to Jamie and to the NHL, thank you for bringing the Winter Classic back to Wrigley Field. Want to also say thank you for letting us keep the rink. So in '09, we played the Blackhawks in Red Wings game, and then the rink came down and we moved on. As we were thinking about this Winter Classic, we asked the NHL, would you let us keep the rink up and help us support the operation of the rink for another week as we have this idea of playing some college hockey. So without the NHL and their vision to continue to support hockey and the growth of hockey at the younger levels, this wouldn't happen. So thank you to the NHL. Obviously, this doesn't happen without the Big Ten. We brought this idea a little over a year ago to Tony Petitti and his team, and they immediately seized on the opportunity. A lot of logistics to bring all the schools in, rearrange the schedule, accept the idea that we could play a great tournament at Wrigley Field. So to Becky, Panny, and Tony, I can tell you we work with a lot of groups to bring events here. No group has been more creative, more solution-oriented than the Big Ten, so huge credit to them. And then also, obviously, I have to say thank you to my team. Colin Faulkner led the effort here with another big group of people to get ready to convert Wrigley Field to college hockey. So we're super excited about that. And then the last thank you would go to our owners. This event's happening, as are all the others I've mentioned, because Wrigley Field is still here. And if you look back to where we were in '09, when we played that last Winter Classic, we had a ballpark that was falling down, literally concrete falling from the upper deck, restrooms that didn't work, electrical, mechanical, and plumbing that didn't work. And we put $1 billion into the building from '09 to today. And that happened with no public support of any kind, straight private financing from our owners. So to the owners that put $1 billion into Wrigley Field to let events like this happen, we have to say thank you as well. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Tony Petitti to give you some of the details on the event.
Morning, everybody. It's great to be here, to be part of the Frozen Confines of the Big Ten Hockey Series at Wrigley. It's just a great opportunity for us, and we're really pleased. And Crane, thank you so much for the efforts on your team. We want to thank you. I want to echo some thank yous as well. Jamie Faulkner and the Blackhawks, thank you so much. Steve and the NHL. This is a really momentous event for our student athletes. So it'll be 4 games. We'll have 2 games on Friday, January 3rd, with Notre Dame and Penn State, Michigan and Ohio State. On Saturday, we'll have the Wisconsin women and the Ohio State women, a rematch of the last 2 championship games in women's college hockey, followed by Wisconsin and Michigan State. So it's just absolutely strength of our league. It shows the depth. I think our fans are going to be super excited about the opportunity to do this. And I will say what's most important about this from the perspective of the Big Ten is that we want to continue to bring unique and memorable experiences to our student athletes. That's what this is about. Being able to give them experiences. Last year, you saw in the Big Ten, we had 92,000 people in an outdoor volleyball game in Nebraska. We had 55,000 people watch Caitlin Clark and the Iowa women's basketball team, and it's setting records in both cases. So the fact that we're doing this is just another example of that. And we're committed to continuing to do that, and it's really important. To bring the women's game here is just a big part of this event for us, to have that opportunity to spread that, even though we don't, it's not Big Ten women's hockey, but they are Big Ten members, so we're really pleased about the opportunity to do that. I want to thank Chris, Big Ten Royalty and Hockey Royalty. Thank you for being here and your support. I will say the partnership with the Cubs, Tom Ricketson Crane, and his staff is really important to the conference. To have this opportunity. We're playing football games in Wrigley, and now we have this great opportunity. So we're really excited to bring fans here. We think our fans are really going to embrace this, and we know the student athletes are going to absolutely love it. I want to call out Jack Phelan and Jack Horvath from Wisconsin, and Kelly Gorbentenko. I don't know if you guys are here. If you can stand up and let folks see. I know Kelly's here. All right, the guy. So we look forward to seeing you all back and doing the work ahead to get ready for all of us. And with that, I will pass it on to Jamie. Thank you, everybody.
I always have to lower. Always the shortest speaker. Well, thanks so much for having us. We are so excited to be able to play in an outdoor game here at Wrigley Field. I think this idea came up a while ago, and thankfully I had a little bit of an in with the Chicago Cubs to help us make this happen. And with the announcement of these games, it helps even continue to put a spotlight on a game we are heavily invested in and certainly love in in the city that we love here in Chicago. The Blackhawks are very invested in growing the game at all levels, and being able to spotlight college hockey is really important because it allows even the youngest players and our fans to understand the opportunity that they have, the level of talent that sits at college hockey, and the impact that it's had at the highest level of the sport in the National Hockey League. For us at the Chicago Blackhawks, it's had a huge impact. 4 of our Stanley Cup champions have come from Big Ten schools, including our long-tenured alternate captain and Michigan State alum, Duncan Keith. In our team's history, we've drafted over 40 players from Big Ten schools, including in this last summer draft, we had the 2nd overall pick, choosing Artem Levshinov from Michigan State. And we currently have 7 players and prospects in our system from Big Ten schools: Frank Nazar from Michigan, Landon Slaggert coming from Notre Dame, both of who actually debuted in a Blackhawks sweater this past season. And we have Oliver Moore at Minnesota, just to name a few. The impact on Big Ten hockey and these programs extends beyond our roster. We have some pretty big jobs in the front office that are actually held by hockey alum from Big Ten schools. We have 2 assistant general managers, Megan Hunter, who oversees hockey operations, who comes from Wisconsin, Mark Eaton from Notre Dame, who oversees all of our player development programs, and our head pro scout, Alex Brooks from Wisconsin. So it's impacting every level of our organization, which is why we're even more excited to support and have you guys here and spotlighted in Hockey Palooza, we're calling it, during that week. But of course, probably the biggest legend coming from Wisconsin, and probably the most well-known from the Blackhawks, is Chris Chelios, our ambassador. And so I think with that, I'm going to turn it over to Rick and Chris.
Crane, Tony, Jamie, thank you very much. He does really need no introduction, especially in this city. He played nearly a decade of his legendary 26-year NHL career here in Chicago. One of several Big Ten alums in his own family. We covered his 2 sons when they played at Michigan State. He was even a part of that 2009 Winter Classic that we mentioned here at Wrigley Field back in the day. He swears to me that this is, in fact, still a Chicago tan, lives here year-round, if you count on the boat being year-round. But most importantly, he is a fantastic ambassador for the Big Ten, for college hockey, and for the city of Chicago. So, Chris, I'll just start by asking you how cool this is to bring this event back here featuring college teams, including your alma mater, after the Winter Classic returns on New Year's Eve Day.
Yeah. I mean, like you mentioned, I've been fortunate enough. I was in that 2009 game actually as a player for 2 shifts and then as a fan for the rest of the game since I got benched. But again, people come from all over the country, not from the world, to see the setting of Wrigley Field and the beauty of it, and it's special. There's no other venue in the world like it. I grew up a Chicago kid, so for me this means even more. The Big Ten, as you mentioned about my family, 2 kids went to Northwestern, played sports. 2 went to state, played sports. My wife, I met her at Wisconsin. So there's for me, it's going to be amazing. As an ambassador for the Blackhawks, I'm proud to be a part of it. I'm looking forward to participating in this. And again, I end up with Crane and Wrigley Field for more events than I've ever, anything. The Big Ten Network, since they become a powerful network for the college kids, this is their thing. I had never had the opportunity, other than I was lucky enough to play in 2 NCAA championships, to be in this platform. I remember the Badgers played at Soldiers Field, and as an athlete, this is, that's about as big as it gets. It really is. Playing in front of 40,000, 50,000 people, the students, the women now getting the opportunity to do the same thing as the men. It's incredible, especially when you have daughters that have played sports and never really, like my sisters, never had the opportunity. So looking forward to a big weekend, watching Wisconsin win the whole thing, both men's and women's. Go Badgers. And again, thanks for letting me be a part of this, and congratulations to the Big Ten Network and the Blackhawks for being a huge part of this also.
Thank you so much. I want to thank all the representatives who are here today, specifically our guest speakers, of course, and the team representatives as well. As we said at the start of the program, there will be the opportunity once we get off our live broadcast here for photo opportunities and potentially one-on-one interviews with Adam Augustine of the Big Ten, Steve and Jamie as well. If you'd like to engage in those, please find and connect with their representatives to do so. Thank everyone for being here. Look forward to seeing you again in late December and early January for the Frozen Confines Big Ten Hockey Series here at Wrigley Field. Thank you.
There you have it, the Frozen Confines Big Ten Hockey Series coming to Wrigley Field in January of 2025. Now, the Wildcats have hosted 7 total events at the Friendly Confines, 3 football games, 3 baseball games, and 1 women's lacrosse match starting back in 2010. Notably, the powerhouse Northwestern women's lacrosse team defeated USC there back in 2014. Now the Big Ten Conference and Chicago Cubs expand their partnership as Big Ten hockey will make its debut at one of the most storied settings in all of sports. The Frozen Confines Big Ten Hockey Series just a big, big event which with tons of excitement building as that gets closer. January of 2025 will be here before we know it. Let's take a look at the Frozen Confines Big Ten Hockey Series matchups. This all starts with a doubleheader on January 3rd, once again 2025. Penn State men's hockey will face off against Notre Dame, and Wisconsin men's hockey will face off against Michigan State. Then on Saturday, January 4th, it's the women's turn, so that's going to be a lot of fun. Ohio State women's hockey facing Wisconsin, and the Badgers deal with Michigan State. All 4 of those games will air right here on the Big Ten Network. You will not want to miss it. Once again, Wrigley Field attracts people from all over the world, and to get to see hockey being played outdoors is going to be so much fun. That'll wrap things up here for this Big Ten press conference. Once again, we're going to have much more on this exciting new venture and this partnership between the Chicago Cubs and the Big Ten Conference coming up here on Big Ten Today in just a few. That'll do it here from our Big Ten studios. I'm Kylan Mills. We'll see you in just a bit.